One now on Drive, a charity which helps children in Afghanistan, has described the humanitarian situation there as extremely worrying. Hamidullah Abawi works for the Street Child Charity in Kabul. He runs programmes aiming to educate tens of thousands of young people across the country, as well as providing aid. One of his key priorities is to ensure that girls there can still access schooling under the Taliban. I spoke to him earlier and told me that the need for aid in the country is growing day by day.
I'm currently in Afghanistan, Kabul. Well, the situation obviously has changed since 15 August with the new regime in place and the Taliban takeover. However, the rest seems calm. Violence has decreased and the war has absolutely vanished at the moment. But the humanitarian needs are becoming higher and higher day by day, unfortunately. This includes poverty, and people are basically suffering due to hunger. And along with that, we are seeing that we're getting close to the winter. So it's extremely worrying. But at the same time, politically, we are still very unstable. Afghanistan does not have the legitimacy at the moment globally, and therefore banks are closed and thousands of people are waiting outside the banks. So this is not a normal situation, and it hasn't been faced before. And it's pretty chaotic at times. And the threats from terrorist groups are increasing day by day, including kidnapping, targeted killings, and attacks on Shias.
You're facing so many problems. So let's begin with the Taliban. What level of cooperation are you getting from the regime?
So far from the Taliban, we have been allowed to continue programming. Luckily, Street Child never stopped programming despite the challenges we had at the field level. However, we have received the needed support from the Taliban to continue programming in terms of providing education to girls and boys in Uruzgan, Baghlan, and Zabul. So our programs are continuing, and the Taliban are providing us access to these regions, providing our teachers with access, and allowing us to continue our classes in very hard to reach and remote areas.
Yeah, but the infrastructure would make things difficult for you to administer, I guess, the aid. But on the issue of girls being educated, Abawi, how much of a guarantee have you been given that will be allowed to continue? Because, from the outside looking in, we are told that the Taliban do not look favourably on that.
The international community has asked the Taliban to support girls' education, and so far they have allowed girls to go to schools till 6th grade, and that is in itself an achievement. However, we are urging the Taliban to allow girls from 7 to 12 grades to be allowed to schools.
So what percentage of girls in Afghanistan are going to school who want to, do you think? Is it I suppose the cynics might say that the regime will support a group like yours because it aids propaganda in a way. Are all girls being allowed to go to school?
No, but the recent announcement, which I saw on social media, 3 provinces have been allowed for the girls to attend school till 12th grade. So all the girls in those 3 provinces are allowed to go to school at the moment. And this was something I read through Twitter, and this was verified. And naming one of those provinces is Balkh. However, in the other provinces of Afghanistan, we are still waiting for the Taliban government or the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan to issue an order for girls to start going to school and females to start working. But in our classes, we cater to around 40,000 children and provide education to 40,000 children in Afghanistan. And half of the amount are girls. And the primary education continues for these girls in our street child programs around Afghanistan.
And so where does your funding come from?
We have different donors. We get funding from the Global Partnership for Education, Education Cannot Wait, Malala Fund, UNICEF, and many other bilateral donors in terms of education.
And so, as far as you're concerned personally, then you're being allowed to work on by the Taliban regime. Have you? Do you feel encouraged by them or tolerated by them? I'm just wondering if you feel safe working in Afghanistan.
It's absolutely not safe. It is taking a huge risk showing up to work every day. We did work remotely for a while, but then we decided that for operations to continue, we need to make sure we go to our offices and start functioning normally. However, threats are high. Kidnapping, targeted killing, ISIS threats, these are all out in the streets, and we are tolerating them at the moment. However, in terms of welcoming, Taliban are welcoming aid from all sides, and as an international NGO, we are committed to provide this aid to the Afghan children. So we are staying and delivering, even though the conditions are extremely difficult for us.
So what makes you keep going then, based in the face of that? Because let's be honest, many people may decide to leave.
It's very difficult to leave when your country is suffering. But at the same time, when you see people suffering, it's very difficult to leave them alone. And on top of that, there's just love for the people that we have and the commitment we have as human beings. And that keeps us going every day.
There we are. That's Hamidullah Abawi working in Kabul to help the children there, arguably in spite of the Taliban, although he just says there's a level of cooperation at the moment. Right, 4:48.